I'm Dana and we've just hit a month since I moved into this room without a partner or any family members or, you know, anyone to prevent me from having to live independently, essentially. I'm having to do it on my own, to a degree. I am going to throw in a disclaimer that my housemate's one of my best friends at this point and he helps me massively. He's absolutely brilliant, so it's not like I am living here like entirely without support. There's definitely a lot of autistic people having to live in much more independent situations than I currently am. So I've broken this video down into 5 parts that I want to talk about when it comes to like living independently as an adult and how it is for me as an autistic person. So I'm gonna read it out to you and then we'll actually get into the video, okay? So there's working, staying alive, having fun, being responsible, and the constant anxiety of everything going wrong. So first up, working. I don't. It's one of those I have to make a joke about it because I do get quite down and upset about it because I've applied to thousands of jobs and had like 4 jobs that were all absolutely terrible and sent me into full-on breakdowns. So I don't really know what's in my working future, and I really sincerely fucking hope it's this because it's the only thing I found that I'm actually good at and enjoy and don't hate. Oh, my housemate's like real moving around now. The fact of things is though that you have to work to get money and you need money to live and survive and do things, and not working means that I get a very, very small amount of money from the British government, which is fantastic and really nice because otherwise I wouldn't have any money, you know? Like we can all whinge and complain about the benefit system and the way things work, but it means I get a little bit of money. So there are like massive statistics of like huge amounts of autistic people not being able to work. However, I also feel like I know a lot of undiagnosed autistic people who do work, and it's one of those where like I think that because autism is like so measured in deficits and what we can't do, that a lot of people who can work a job and do work jobs just aren't going to get diagnosed based on that factor, even though they are autistic. So I don't necessarily agree that the statistics surrounding like autistic people in jobs are correct, but I think that's because of the way that we judge autism and not because of autistic people or the studies being wrong, you know? But I do have a whole video about why I personally struggle to work. I'll link it here. There's a lot to it. It's very hard to work. Like, for me as an autistic person, obviously, I don't want to make general sweeping statements because every autistic person's different. But I think by and large, a lot of us do struggle with work and finding jobs and staying in jobs and not getting burnt out while we're in jobs, and just generally being able to work is quite hard. But you've got to do the working for the next part, which is the staying alive. You know, you've got to pay rent, you've got to pay for food, you've got to keep, like, every single day you have to buy, like, you don't have to buy food every single day, but every single day you have to make a decision on what to eat multiple meals, and you need to make sure that you have the food in for those meals, and that means going to the supermarket, which is stressful as hell. And like, it's a whole thing, it's a whole fucking thing. And I'm again very lucky in that like the place that I found is great. My landlord's really cool. So last month when I sent them my rent 2 days late, it was because they just sent me a little message on WhatsApp be like, you do need to pay your rent, you know, thanks. And I was like, oh shit, I do need to pay my rent. But you know, like a lot of other people would have been like, I mean, you're not going to be kicked out for paying rent 2 days late, I know. But there's definitely going to be consequences to paying things late for some people and in some situations that I luckily haven't experienced, but very well could have. And it's scary as fuck. And then there's, again, I've gotten very lucky because I have a housemate who'd already sorted all like the bills and stuff, because I wouldn't know how the fuck to set off like a heating bill and council tax. No, I shouldn't go into that. I am going to sort out my council tax. I do think it's been sorted out. I'm not entirely sure. I'm going to check up on that. But again, it's like all of these little things that like, I know that I had to pay them. I've lived, you know, I lived with my ex, admittedly I was in a relationship, so it was very much like he was paying for it, but I knew what was going on, you know, and despite that, it's still sort of like, oh shit, I've got to do all this stuff, I've got to pay all these things, I've got to make sure there's this and this and this, and it's super stressful. And especially when you're not working, it's like, where the fuck's it all coming from? Help me. You know, even staying hydrated, like, I haven't drank any water in a while. And there was a point where I'd like maybe 2 weeks after I moved in, and I got a glass of water and I was like, this is definitely the first time I've drank water in this house. I really need to start drinking water. My cells are probably screaming. But I just don't think about it. And it's often the same with food. And whereas living with my ex, I was very much like, well, I have to get tea ready. I have to, like, you know, he's going to be a horrible person to me if I don't do X, Y, Z. So there was this constant motivation to do the dishes, do the hoovering, cook food, go to the shop. Like, it was very, like, panic oriented to do these things so that he wouldn't be mad at me. And not having that motivation means that like I'm a hell of a lot less stressed, I'm a lot less anxious, but I'm also sort of like really tired and traumatized and don't necessarily have the energy to be like doing all this stuff without the motivation of like I need to get it done. So that's a slight tangent that a lot of you probably don't relate to, but it's fun to be me. The next part though is socialising, and this is where it's real fucking hard. Like, I know I keep saying it, I got real fucking lucky with my housemate. So I've just befriended a whole lot of his friends. Like, he's already gone through the trouble of making good friends, and I've just been like, oh well, I live in the house where you come to see him, so you fucking get me too. And it's going well. But I think that as an autistic person, it's real fucking exciting to have friends and to have people to socialise with, and it's very tempting to just like really go overboard. It's really tempting to like not take any alone self-care time or anything and just want to constantly be seeing people and socialising and going to things. Like, it's almost a special interest. Like, I had one good night in a club and now I'm like ready to be a party girl. I'm ready to go out like every fucking weekend, and it's irresponsible and it'd be silly and it wouldn't be good for me, so I'm not, because you have to have some degree of self-restraint as an adult. But oh, I want to. Yeah, and that's like, you'll notice that my room's a little messy right now because we had a party over the weekend. We had a bunch of people here to stay, all of my housemates' friends, none of mine. I haven't taken that like alone time and like self-care time or whatever to like actually properly tidy my room, because I'd much rather be spending it socialising with my housemate and seeing other people and having people over and whatever else. And that's not really being a good independent adult. I need to sort that out. I need to tidy my room, put my washing away. But it's just so tempting to indulge in the good times. We've all been there, everyone's experienced that, you get it. But like I say, you've got to restrain yourself and be responsible. I did totally just combine 2 points into one there by accident, but it was just such a good segue that, like, is the word segue or is that the little things that people... Anyway, I've kind of tied them both together, but you get what I mean. Like, living as an independent autistic adult, I've been going to bed at like 3 a.m. every night. It's so bad. I got up at 9 this morning after going to bed at like fucking 4. But like, see, it's the autism thing of like, I need to maintain my routine in the morning and like try and have as much of my day as possible. But also, like, if I can just hang out and have a good time in my housemate until 4 a.m, I'm obviously going to do that. It's so much fun. I've just spent 8 years with a man that I didn't like and then a year living with him as my ex. Like, I'm allowed to indulge and have a bit of fun. But you've got to know when to stop the indulgence and be responsible and be like, I'm doing something tomorrow, so I'm going to bed now or whatever. And it's lame and it's boring, but it's part of being an adult. And I wouldn't encourage people to like move out and immediately get an animal, because pets are a big responsibility, but having the cats as like my responsibility is one of the big things that helps me to like be responsible and like maintain my shit. And actually, you know, like, my cats can't play in my room if there's just dirty clothes all over the floor. I've got to keep my room tidy enough that they can use their litter boxes, play with their toys. I've got to get up in the morning so that I can feed my cats. I've got to not stay out at people's houses forever unless my housemate can contact his sister to feed my cats. You know, like, there's a lot of my life's based around my cats, and I think that's how it should be. I think that's healthy. I think that's good for them. It definitely helps me to like set a routine and feel like motivated to do that kind of shit, you know. Like, if I don't get up in the morning and scoop their litter boxes, they're gonna have a gross dirty litter tray all day, so I need to get up and scoop their boxes. I've got to give them breakfast. It's, you know, it's one of those where like I say, I'm not encouraging everyone to just do this, because obviously lots of us have like periods of burnout, periods of depression. If you like straight up know that you're not going to be able to get out of bed, don't get a fucking cat. But personally, as someone who's like, my worst depression has like seen me not getting out of bed except to feed the cat. You know, that's my big motivator of like, I've gotten up, I've done something, it could be worse. But that's the absolute height of my responsibility. I really, like, the older I get, the more I'm like, I do not want children. Like, the responsibility of a whole ass human life is way too much. Like, my cats stress me out enough. Which brings us to the constant worry that everything's going to go wrong. I originally said something, but now we're going with everything, because I'm an anxious bitch. So when I was initially looking at moving, I had savings. That's well gone. That was gone very, very quickly, just on like fucking fixing up some of my room and moving some of my shit. Like, I I don't know where the fuck that went. I'm very, very upset about it. So I'd say I'm currently living paycheck to paycheck, but I don't even get a fucking paycheck. You know, like, I don't have any fallback plan, and it's one of those, I'm aware that, like, a lot of people say they don't have a fallback plan, when in reality, if they phoned their mum or dad or their cousin or whoever, they'd be able to, like, borrow money or get this support, get this help. Whereas I am very much, like, the only person I've got is my housemate, and I'm constantly trying not to, like, be, like, the only person I've got is my housemate, you know, because it's not his responsibility, it's not up to him. But I don't have anyone to ring if shit goes down, essentially. Like, I mean, see, I'm doing that thing now, I'm, like, thinking of, like, everybody that I've ever known, and, like, if I phone this person, would they help me? Lots of people are very nice, I'm sure lots of people would help me if they had to, but a lot of people shouldn't have to, because they're just not that close to me, and I don't really I'm not ringing the guy that I've worked for a couple of times if all goes to shit to, like, stop me from being homeless, you know, it's just not appropriate is what I'm saying. So I'm very much, if something went wrong, if one of my cats needed the vet, if there was a sudden, like, increase in a bill or something that I needed to pay, if my rent went up, I'd be screwed. I don't know what I would do. That would be everything going wrong. You know, like, obviously, if my cat needed the vet, I'd take my cat to the vet. The vet is fucking expensive. Last time I went to the vet, it was literally for a checkup of a cat that I was giving away, and it cost me like 170 quid. If I paid 170 quid for a vet now, I would have no money for the rest of the month. Bear in mind, at the start of the month, I would have no money for the rest of the month. And, like, I'd do it because it's my cat. As much noise as you're making right now, man. But I'd be fucked, you know? Like, I'd make sure my cat was okay, but I would be fucked. And it's, you know, there's a lot more to it than just that. But it is also kind of constantly on my mind. And it's terrifying, it's really scary, I hate it. It's very minimal. I've just realised that I really think this video might just be about being poor. Is any of this about being autistic? It is, because every aspect of my personality is actually about being autistic. Someone on TikTok told me that. So yeah, that's my current experience of living life as an independent autistic adult. Most of you that watch me, it's most wrong. A lot of you that watch me are a good bit older than me. I fucking love it, because I feel like I've gotten, like, little internet parents or something. Like, I don't have parents, so, like, you guys are here and you're old enough that you could have been. I'm getting weird. But a lot of you are older and definitely have, like, more experience of living as a fucking person, because you're older and you've been doing it for longer. So I would love to hear your thoughts and opinions, any life hacks you found to make things easier. I don't know what the fuck I'm looking for, but I'm sure you have something to say, because you know a lot more than I do. But I'm trying my best, and I think, you know, all things considered, at least I'm reasonably happy for literally the first time in my entire life. So we've got some things going for us, we've got some things not so much. Come on then, come say bye. So, whoever you are, wherever you are, hope you have a lovely morning, evening, day, afternoon, week, month, year, and we will see you again in a couple of days.